Hi, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to a new amazing video, which is a Room database full tutorial video. So in this video, we'll be implementing Room database. So basically we'll be building this app, which is a simple notes app, and we'll be using Room database to store these notes in the user's device. So basically this is how the app is going to look like. We can of course delete notes. We can sort them based on the date they were added or the first character they start with. So let's add a new note. For example, here let's call it new. We can give it a description like test or something, and then click save. So here's our new notes. We can, as I said, sort them. So right now they are sorted alphabetically, A, B, and so on. And then if I change the sorting, now they are sorted in the date they were added on. This is the first one I added, and this is the last one. And I can always delete a note and then resort them the one I want. And if I close the app and I launch it again, I'll find that my notes are still there. And to know how Room database looks like or works, we can just go to the app inspection here and then wait a little bit. So this is our database. It's very simple. It's just a table that has the most important thing, which is the ID, and Room database generates the IDs for us. So they are auto generated. We don't generate them. We just of course give our note a title by ourselves and the description, and then the date they were added. We do that programmatically, and then Room database adds the ID automatically. So it's very simple. This is how it looks like. You could call this note as a data class that has a bunch of attributes, which are the title, the description, and the date added, and then the ID, which is the primary key, as you can see here, a little key icon, which is auto generated. So let's get started and see how we can build this app using Room database. So the first thing is that we want to add the libraries we want in our build.gradle file. So let's go to our build.gradle. First of all, we need the capt annotation thing, which capt stands for Kotlin annotation process, that we just need because Room database is just a bunch of annotations. As I said, everything is done behind the scenes. We don't do much things. We just add this plugin here, and then scroll down. Here we want this Room library. Basically this is the latest version. Of course there is another one instead of capt, that is keysp, but it generates some errors, so I'm just going with capt for now. So we add these two libraries here with these two dependencies, and then the navigation one, because I navigate between two screens, which are the home screen and the add new note screen, and then the extended icons library just for the icons. Like I love to have many icons in my app so I can use them, or you can if you don't want this, you can just avoid it. Just add these dependencies and then sync the project and you're good to go. So the first thing is that I want to add some packages I need in here. I will add two packages. The first one is the data package, and then the presentation package. Basically the data one will hold or will include everything that has to do with data, from the data object, the data like the note DAO. I will explain this later, and the node database itself. And then the other one is the presentation package, which will have everything has to do with the UI, from like the screens, the view model, the state, and the events. Like everything will be there. So first of all, let's create the data package. So data like this, and then the presentation one, and click enter. In the data package, let's first create our note. So new Kotlin class or file, I'm just going to call it a note, and it's a data class, of course. So the first thing, we want to annotate this data class with entity, because as I said, Room database is a bunch of annotations. So I just add entity like this, And now entity is just like a thing that we can add into our table, so room knows what to add. Basically we add entity, and then we add the attributes we want here in our data class. So var title, which is of type string, and then the description, so var description, of course as well of type string. And then the last one is var date added, which will be a long. And then the last thing is the primary key or the ID, so I just write var ID, which is of type int, and by default let's make it a 0. So to tell room that this is our primary key, we just annotate it with that, so add primary key like this, and then we set it to be auto generated, so auto generated, and set that to true. I may have made a typo here, description, and the typo is gone. So this is it. As I said, we annotate the data class with entity to tell room that this is our entity, this is what we will be adding in each row in our table, and then we annotate ID with primary key auto generated true to tell the room that this is the primary key, this is what separates each row from the other one, and then we add this auto generated true to make room generated for us. And then let's move on and create the node DAO. A node DAO is just, we could say it is a node data access object, and this DAO will be an interface that will make us perform database operations like inserting, deleting, and updating, and all these database operations. So let's create it. So basically we'll go to the data package, new kotlin class and file, and we'll call it node DAO like this, and it is an interface. And then as always, room is just a bunch of annotations, so we annotate this with DAO like this to tell room that this is our data access object, and then we write the functions that we need to perform the room database operations. The first thing is the insert a new node or a new object into our database. We'll say fun insert node, for example, and then we'll pass our node of type node we've created, and then we annotate this with insert, so add insert like this, and then we just add the suspend keyword to make our function asynchronous, so suspend like this. And we'll do the same for deleting, so just copy this one that we already created and then create the other one for deleting, so we call it delete, and then here we just call it delete again like this. And then basically before I move on, right here we just format this. There is actually a new one which is called the absert, and this not update, absert, this one. Absert stands for insert and update. So basically this absert, if we need to add a new node, then it inserts it, and if we need just to update an existing one, it updates it. So because otherwise we'll have to create two functions, one for inserting and one for updating. But in the newer version of Roam there is absert that does the two things with just one function. So we can just use absert, and then I can also change this one into absert like this. And so this is the inserting and updating function, and then this one is for deleting. So now let's create the ones that actually make us get the nodes. So the first one is to get the nodes sorted or ordered by the date they were added. So fun get nodes ordered by date added like this. and this one will return a flow. So like this, it will return a flow that is a list of nodes. So list of nodes like this, and then I'm going to annotate this with a query. So annotate query like this, and the query to get nodes or to get objects from the database is select like this from nodes, which is the node database. I'm going to create it. I didn't create it yet. Ordered by date added. By date added. So here I seem to import the wrong flow, so let's re-import it. Import this one, the coroutines one. So this is to get the nodes ordered by the date they were added, and then the last one to get them ordered by the title. So just come right here and then change this to title, and ascending we can just write ASC, and then we call it ordered by title. So title, and yes, so this is it for our node DAO that makes us perform all these room database operations in very few lines. Like you can insert and upsert in one line and then get new ones, or delete and get new nodes in very few lines. Unlike the SQLite, basically room database is just like it does this exact same thing as SQLite, but behind the scenes, so we don't have to write all that boilerplate code because room does that for us. And then the last thing is we are going to create our database, and it is very simple. Just come to our package and then create a new Kotlin class in file. We call it nodes database like this, and again we annotate this with database. So like annotate it with database, and then open two brackets like this, and then we tell it what is the entity. So entities is our node class. So this is our entity, and then the version. So the version of the database, basically when you change like something in your entity, or you change like how you do the operations or something, you can then change the version. But for now we're just going to leave it at 1. So we tell the database that node, which is this one, is our entity, and then the version is this one. And the database itself is going to be an abstract class, not a normal class. So abstract class node database that implements room database like this, and it has a constructor. And then inside here we're just going to create our DAO variables. So abstract val DAO of type node DAO like this, and this is it for our database. So basically we just created our database and we are actually done with this one. Now let's create the UI, but first let's create the view model. So nodes view model, that's what I'm going to name it, nodes view model. And so this is our view model that is going to of course implement the view model, this one, and it has a constructor. And then in our nodes view model constructor we're going to pass our node DAO. So private var, I'm just going to call it DAO, and it is node DAO. So this is it for now for our view model. We'll write the other code later, but let's first create the events that the user can make in our UI, or the actions, like the events or the actions that a user can make. So new Kotlin class in the file, and this one is going to be a sealed class, and it's called nodes events. Open the brackets. The first thing is that the user can sort the nodes. So object sort nodes, that is of type nodes events, or basically I think it should be called event, not events. I think that's a better name, because each event is just one event, not a bunch of events. And this one needs to be a sealed interface, not a sealed class. The second thing a user can make is to delete a node. So this will be a data class, delete node, that is going to take the node that we want to delete as a parameter. So var node of type node, and it's also a node event like this. Let's import node like that. And then the last thing the user can do is to save a node. So as well a data class save node, and the first thing we want is the title of the node. So var title, that is a string, and then the description, that is also a string, and that's it. This is also a node event, and this is it for the events that the user can make. Let's then move on to create the node state, so the state of our screen. So just call it node state, and this one needs to be a data class. And basically we need three things in our node state. The first thing is this list of the nodes, vol nodes. So the list of the nodes, like the nodes that we are going to display in our home screen. So nodes, that is of type list node, so list of nodes, and at first it is an empty list like this. Import node, and then the title, var title, that is a mutable state type string, and it is a mutable state empty string. We need a little comma here. And then the last one is the description, and it's going to be just like title, but it is the description like that. So this is it for our state data class. Now let's go back to our view model. So this is going to be our most complex class here in the app, the view model, because this is where we're going to try get in the nodes, removing them, and this will be responding to will be receiving all the user actions and then perform the appropriate operations. So the first thing we want to create is whether a variable that tells us whether our nodes are sorted by the date they were added or by the title. So private var is sorted by date added. That is a mutable state flow, and we initialize it with true because we want our nodes true, because we want our nodes to be first ordered by the date they were added, not by the title, until the user changes that. And then let's now create our own event function. So fun on event, that is going to take an event, node event, and then we just write when, so to know what event or what action the user did. When event, and then the Android Studio will add the remaining branches for us. So we want to know when the user deleted a note, and then when they saved a new note, and of course when they try to change the sorting. So let's start with deleting, which is very simple. So we just call using our DAO, we just call the deleting function, which is this one, and then we passed the note that the user is trying to delete. So DAO dot delete note, and then we pass event dot note. As this was as a suspend function, we need to surround this with a ViewModel scope or a coroutine. So ViewModel scope dot launch, and then we put this inside there like this. And then let's make this one the last one, and then let's first try handling when they sort something. So is sorted by date added dot value is now going to be the opposite, because we're just going to now sort it with the title. So if this is true, then we will sort it by the date they were added. If it's false, that's what we are going to do, then we'll sort it by the title. So very simple. So is sorted by date they were added dot value like this. I think I made a little bit of a typo here. This a needs to be lowercase. And now let's go to the save note function, which is going to be a little bit, event, which is going to be a little bit big. So first of all, we want to create our note that we want to insert into the database. So val note, that is of course of type note. So that is equal to note. Let's import that, import note, and then we assign the title to be our state. Oh, I actually did not create the state yet, so let's create that first. So let's come here and create our state. But first of all, because our notes can be changed from being sorted by the date they were added or the title, we'll first start with that. So let's handle that right here. So private var notes that is equal. Now I'm going to write something and I'm going to explain. So is sorted by the date they were added dot flat map latest, this one, and then right here, and it receives a sort, which is the sorting type. So if sort, so if that's true, if it was sorted by the date they were added, then our notes, these ones are equal to DAO dot get notes ordered by date they were added, else DAO dot get notes by the date by the title. So basically we check this one, which is sorted by date added. If that's true, if the sorting is this one, then we're going to we're going to get the notes sorted by the date they were added. Else, then we're going to get the title, and then we'll write dot state in like this. View model scope sharing started dot while subscribed, and then empty list. So if none of those are true, then we're just going to get an empty list. I need to remove this and this. I don't know why they are there, but yes. So this is how we check the sorting, and then if that's sorted by the date they were added, then we're going to assign this, as I said. Else, then the title, the one sorted by the title. And then let's create our state. So var state is equal to mutable state flow, of course, of note state, like that. And then basically this one is not the one that we are going to use in our activity, in our screen, I mean. But what I'm going to do is create another one. So state that is equal to combine, so combine, and then what I'm going to do is that our nodes or our state can change based on these three things. First of all, this state. So if any change happens in this state, then our state that we are going to use in our screen will also change and will update itself. And then the second one is sorted by date added, so if this as well changes. And the last one is nodes, like this. And then I'm going to open a bracket here, and this will return for me state and is sorted by, I'm just going to copy this, oops, I'm going to copy this one, let's paste it here, and then nodes, like that. So if any change happens in those three, then we are going to update our state. So state dot copy, I don't know why it's not suggesting that yet, maybe because I didn't write state and shared with or subscribed, but I'm going to write that. So nodes is equal to our new nodes, so like this. And then right here I just need to remove this, I guess, dot state in, and then a view model scope, of course, view model scope, comma, sharing started dot while subscribed, and then a 5-second timed out, and then node state, like this. I have an error here because I have an extra bracket there, and in here I named this one the wrong way. This is the one that I want to update. So yes, this is it now for our state. We've created our state and our nodes, and now let's save the nodes. So as I said, this node is of type node, and the title is state dot value dot title dot value again, and then the description, it's just duplicate that and then write description, and here as well description, and then the date added. So date added is equal to system. This is how we can get the current date. So system dot current time in milliseconds. So this is how we can get the date, and I should remove this line to remove the error, and then let's insert the node. So again, view model scope dot launch, inside it we're going to call our upsert function, so upsert the node we've created, and then we want to update our state. Remove that bracket, state dot update it dot copy, and then we set our title to be an empty string again, because we just saved our nodes, so we don't want the title to be like filled with any value anymore, because we already saved that in our database. So title is a mutable state of an empty string, and the same for our description. So description, I need a little comma here, like that. So this is it actually for our view model. Now we wrote everything we need, and now let's go to create our UI. So the first thing is in our main activity, we want to create our database first object, and then we want to create the view model and the factory for the view model, because right here I'm not using any dependency injection like else or something that does this for us behind the scenes. That's why I will have to create it manually, because if I want to use that over here, then that's going to be too much for the video. That's why I want to keep it simple. So private var database like this by lazy, and room dot database builder. I'm going to pass the application context and my database, so node database class.java, and the name of the database, so nodes.db, like that. And then I call .build to build the database. And now let's create my view model instance. So private var view model by view models, and then of course my view model that I've created, nodes view model, and then in the here in the constructor I create my factory. So factory producer, and then object view model provider, this one dot factory. I know this is too much, but I'm not using any dependency injection, that's why I have to write all of this to create the factory. Override fun t view model create model class. So model class that is of type class t, like this. That returns a lot of code, but what can you do? That returns t, and it returns it returns nodes view model, and then I pass my database as t. So this is how you can create a view model factory, and then I just created my view model instance. So let's get started with the UI now. First of all, I'm going to create my nav host controller. So nav controller, that is equal to, remember, nav controller, and then I'm going to create the state. So before I forget that state by view model dot state, this one dot collect as state, like that. And then let's create my nav host, but let's import some things in here. So let's create our nav host, and I'm going to of course pass my nav controller is equal to nav controller, and the start destination. Let's first import this, like that. The start destination, as I said, is equal to my nodes screen that I'm going to create right now. Nodes screen, and then let's create them. So the first one, my screens are just composable. So composable, and then the rows is going to be node screen, which is of course this one. And then inside it I'm going to call my screen, and let's create another one for the add new node screen. So here add node screen, like this. And then let's create the first one. So our node screen, that of course will require state is equal to state before even I can create it. And then the nav controller is equal to nav controller, and the event, so we know to know when the user does any action, so is equal to view model on event, like that. And actually the same for our add node screen. So we're done with our main activity. We've created our two screens. Now we've created like the nav host with our two screens. So let's just start creating the screens. So the first one is of course the node screen. So nodes screen, that is just a file, composable. So composable fun node screen, nodes, that's what I named it in the activity. Node screen, that of course takes state, which is node state, and then nav controller, which is nav controller, and then the on event that is a lambda function that takes a nodes event and it returns nothing, so unit. Let's give our function a body, and now let's start creating the UI. So first of all is we want to create a scaffold like this. So basically a scaffold just helps us put our top bar, floating action button in the bottom navigation bar in the right position. So the first thing is that we want our top bar. Basically this is the top bar, so check it out. This is the top bar that has this title and this sorting icon, and this is the floating action button, but we don't have a bottom navigation bar. So top bar, that is going to be equal, that is going to be just a row, and this row will of course have a modifier. I need to import row first. Import row, a modifier that is going to be filling, modifier dot, let's go to a new line, dot fill max width, because our top bar will fill the max width, and then the height I can give it 55 dp, import dp, and then the background, so background will be material theme dot color scheme dot primary color for the background, and padding of 16.dp, and then I'm going to align the elements inside it like vertically centered, so vertical alignment center like this, and then I'm going to give it a body content that is going to be inside it is going to be a text that, first of all, just the title of the app. You could get it by just saying string resource and then write r.string.app name. Let's import r, or we can just hard code it if you want to hard code it, but I'm not going to. App name like this, and now we have the title of the app, and then our text needs a modifier, so modifier is equal to modifier.weight. So basically to make the text width fill all the remaining space after placing the button, the icon, and last or in the end of the row, 1if like this. And then I can adjust this by giving it a font size of 17.sp. We use sp for text size and then tp for composable sizes, and then the font weight, I can make it semi-bold to make it look like a title, so semi-bold, and then let's just create a little space here, and then the color, so color that is equal to material theme dot color scheme dot on primary, because as I said the background of this was primary. Now we're going to use the on primary color, and then inside it we're going to have an icon button, so icon button like this, and in the on click, of course, this is the sorting button, and then in the on click I'm going to call the on event lambda, and I'm going to pass the sorting event, so an event dot sort nodes like this. And then inside here I'm going to place now my icon, so icon, and I'm going to use an image vector that is icons dot, I love the rounded icons dot sort. You can't actually have this sort icon without having the library, which is the extended icons library, and in here on the content description I can just call it sort nodes, sort nodes like this. I can give it a size, so modifier is equal to modifier.size. I'm going to give it 35.dp, and then the tint is going to be as well this one, so this primary color, so tint is equal to the primary color. This is it for our top bar. Now let's create our floating action button. So let's create our floating action button. Floating, first need to put a little comma here, floating, oops, this is the wrong place to put this, right here, so floating action button. I'm going to use, of course, a floating action button, and the on click I'm just going to navigate to the other screen. So very simple. Right here, I'm going to say nav on shoulder dot navigate to the other screen, which is the add node screen. This is its route. And then I'm going, and because I did not create an event for this, basically you can create an event for this, but I didn't. I'm just going to now set the title that we have in our state, so state to title to empty strings. I'm just going to handle this right here. So the title is going to be an empty string, and then the description as well. And then inside the floating action button, we have an icon, again an image vector that is icons.round.add, like this. The content description is going to be add new note, like that. Now let's go to create our list of notes. First of all, we need to use the padding values so that the error is gone, and inside here we're going to use a lazy column. So basically, if you don't know what a lazy column is, we could just imagine it as a recycler view in XML, but way simpler. Like, it's way much better and very easy and more simple than recycler view. And then here in our lazy column, I'm not going to use content. Instead, I'm going to use content padding. This one that is equal to padding values so that the error will be gone, and then a modifier that is equal to a modifier dot fill max size. So actually, just to be clear, this lazy column is being created inside the content of this scaffold. So dot fill max size. So even if I say dot fill max size, this will be below the top bar, and if we have any bottom bar, it will be above that. So above bottom bar if we have that, and below a top bar if we have that. So fill max size, and then I'm going to give it padding. So dot padding 8.dp padding, and then I'm going to, like, to remove the error, let's give it the content block. I'm going to put my elements inside it spaced by 60 dp. So vertical alignment is equal to arrangement dot space by 16 dp to put 16 dp of space between each item. Then inside our lazy column, we're going to now create our items. So items, this one, and the count is state dot notes dot size. That will give us the index. And then inside here, I'm going to create our note, my note item, but I'm going to put it outside here. So composable. So I'm going to put in a different function, fun. I'm just going to call it note item. That will require the state. So this one, in the note state, I have an error here. I just need to add this little experiment in annotation, so that is gone. So as I said, we need this state in our item, and our item is going to be a row that again requires a modifier to fill the max width. So modifier fill max width, and then clip that item so it has rounded corners dot, so clip dot rounded corners 10 dp, and then the background of this item, so background is going to be material theme dot color scheme dot primary container, and padding 12.dp. And then inside our row, we're going to have a comment. So this is how this is going to look like, the row, because we have now a row that includes this section, which has the title and the description, and then the icon, which is the relating icon. And then inside this row, we're going to have a comment to put the title and then the description below it. So comment that takes a modifier to again make it fill as much space as we have after adding the icon. So if we say dot weight 1f, then it's going to fill all this space and then leave the rest of the space for the icon. So modifier is equal to modifier dot weight 1f. Then inside it, I'm going to have now the two texts. So text like this, and the text is going to be state dot notes index. I did not pass index, I'm going to pass it right now. Index of type int. So index dot title. So this is it for my title, but I'm going to decorate this, of course. I'm not going to leave it like this. The font size is going to be 18.dp. The font weight, because it's a title, it's going to be in semi-bold, so semi-bold. And the color, material theme dot color scheme dot on primary container, because the background is primary container. And then we have an error here, sp, and the error is gone. Let's copy this for the description, but between them I'm going to put a spacer that is height 8dp, 8.dp, and this is going to be the description, and it won't be semi-bold, it will be a normal text, a normal weight text, and it's going to be a little smaller than the other one. And then the last thing is the icon of deleting a note. So outside the comment but inside the row, I'm going to put the icon, which is an icon button, and then the on click, I'm going to call the on event function that I again did not pass, the on event lambda function, like this. So inside here I'm going to call on event, and I'm going to call the note event.delete note, which is this one, and I'm going to pass the icon that I'm trying to delete after clicking on the button, notes and index, like this. And then this is the on click. Let me just format that a little bit. I don't know why it's not formatting, but this is not how it should look like, basically. Yes, now after that, inside this content block, I'm going to put the icon. Image vector, it always gives me the painter, but I want image vector. So image vector is going to be icons dot rounded dot delete, and the description delete note, like that. And then I can always give it a size to make it like more beautiful. So modifier size 35.dp. And then the tint, so tint is going to be material theme dot color scheme dot on primary container. So this is it for my notes item. I've created it, and I'm just going now to call it inside my items here. So notes item, and the state, I'm going to pass state, index, I'm going to pass index, and then on event, I'm going to pass my on event function. And yes, I can format this a little bit. You can of course find this source code in GitHub. I'm going to put its URL in the description. So this is it for my screen. It's pretty big, but yes, this is the main screen, and I'm going to import this right here. Now the last screen is to the add notes screen. So inside my presentation package, I'm going to create the notes screen, not a class, it's a function, and it's a composable function. For the parameters, they're going to be the same as these in the notes screen, like that. Now let's create again a scaffold, because we need a floating action button here. So right here, first let me just create some space, and then right here, scaffold that is going to include a floating action button. Oops, floating action button, like this. In the on click, I'm going to send an event of adding a new note. Basically, the floating action button is this one. So when I try adding a new note, this is this floating action button of inserting or updating a new note. So in the on click, I'm going to call the note event dot save note, and then I'm going to pass the title and the description of my note. So title is equal to state dot title dot value. I'm going to give them their values right now, and the description is equal to state dot description dot value. And then right here, I'm going to create my icon. So icon image vector, and it's going to be save or check. So image icons, I mean, oops, icons dot rounded dot check this one, and the description, the content description is going to be save note. This is it for the icon. I can format this a little bit, and right here I need, actually after clicking on this, I need to go back to the previous screen. So nav control dot pop backstack to go back to the previous screen. And now inside the content of my scaffold, I again need my padding values. I need to use that so that the error, make the error gone. So I'm going to have a column here because I have two text field right now. I mean, right here I have two text fields, one on top of each other. So I need a column for this column, and this column will need, of course, a modifier. So modifier dot padding. Oops, not that. Dot padding, and I'm going to use the padding values, and then dot fill max size. And then inside here, I'm going to have two text fields. So let's create them. Text field, the value. So let's just put this in different lines. The value is going to be my state dot title dot value, and the on value change. That's where I'm going to assign now a value to my state title value that is equal now to it. So whenever I make a change, I assign the new change into my title that is inside the state. And this is going to require a modifier to fill the max width. So fill max width. Oops, it did not call modifier. Dot fill max width and dot padding 16 dot dp. Import dp. And then I'm going to stylish this a little bit. I'm going to use a text style. So I'm creating this. I could have created the UI previously and then just show you how you can call your events, but I'm creating this so that you know how you can also create UI using Jetpack Compose if you are new to it. So I'm going to stylish a text inside a text field. We use text style, and then you can pass any normal attribute that a normal text would have. So font width. Need to first call the function that is text style. So I made a mistake here, text style, and I need to remove these brackets. So I open this one. So inside here, that is equal font weight, that is equal to semi-bold. That's what I'm going to use. And then the text size, so font size 17.sp. Import is, what's going on here? Import sp. I don't know why I did this, but format this, and then a placeholder, which can be described as a hint in a text view previously in XML. So to use a hint here, we just use placeholder. First put a little comma there, placeholder, that is just a text, a normal text that says title like this, and then error in here. I need to add this little experimental annotation, and then copy this for the other text field, which is going to be used for the description. And then this one won't be styled because I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And then this is going to be description for the placeholder disk. And then this is going to be description as well, and this one as well. So I guess this is it for the add notes screen, and actually this is it for the entire app. I'm just going to import this. This is for main activity. I have an error here. Let me see. Let me just remove this and make sure that my view model is okay. Everything seems to be okay. And now let's run the app and hope everything is working fine. So this is the previous one. I'm just going to close it and wait for the Gradle build. Here it is now running. This is my app, and let me just open the app inspector to see any changes in my database. So this is my notes database. Right now it is empty. Let me try adding a new note. I'm just going to call it A, and I'm going to call it test A and save that. Oops, I'm not saving it. Let me just see what the problem is, and I'll be back. So after a little bit of debugging, I found the problem in the add note screen. In the floating action button, I actually didn't call the on event lambda. So I just need to call that and then pass the event to that lambda. And now run the app again, and the problem should be solved. So go to the app inspection like this, and let's try adding a new node. So let's call it B, test B, and save. So it is our node. Let's add a new one, call it C, for example. Oops, C, and C test, and then save that. Let's add a new one, call it A now. and test A. Let's save that. Let's make sure that we have our items or our objects in the database. Yes, they are there. These are the, basically there is no one because when I was debugging I created one. This is the date they were added in, this is the description, and this is the title. So this is our table. We can of course sort this. So right now they are sorted in the date they were added. And if I sort this now alphabetically, A, B, C, so sorting is working fine, deleting is working fine. If I close the app, they open it again, I find that my notes are still there. I can still sort them. And if you want to do something like this, as in the app that I showed you at the beginning of the video, when I open the keyboard, the floating action button actually goes above the keyboard. You just go here to the main activity and then you write Windows soft input mode, and I'm going to write adjust resize so that it adjusts the position of that floating action button. So when I try adding now a new note, so if I give it like a description here, as you can see, the floating action button goes up here, and if I save, here is my note. And yes, this is it for this video. Hopefully now you understand how you can use Room. It's very simple, it's easy. It's just a bunch of annotations, and you then create your database class with annotations again, and that's it actually for this video. Thanks for watching, see you in another one, and bye.